Hey everyone, this is Sam and welcome to the channel, and today I'll be showing you my Prisoner Magic Melee build. So this one is one of my favorite builds in the game because you're very effective from long range with very powerful magic, but you can also get in the face of the enemy and be very effective in melee. But to top it all off, this build is also very agile, as you can see me there dodging the fire spell and continue my casting. So because of that, not only can I cast, if the enemy gets close, I can get away, and if it's melee range, I can hit actually very hard because of the certain buffs and the equipment I have. So you're good with magic, you're good with melee, and you're good with movement. That's a true all-around build, and with it, you have tons of potential, and I guarantee by the end of this build guide, you're going to get all the equipment you need, you're going to know where to find them, and you're going to put it all together to create excellent synergy so you can fight up close, fight from range, fight in the mid-range area, fight in the gaps, and you're just going to take down bosses, no matter what level or how hard they are, 24/7. And yes, you can even do no-look spells like this and take people down. So if you enjoy our content or this video, please consider subscribing and adding a like. And if you would like to see more content from us, you can just click on the link in the description below or the card above, and you'll see all the RPG content we've been doing all year long on the channel. So one of the key reasons why this build is so good from pretty much all distance of a fight and just all these elements of the game is because it comes from the prisoner class, but at the same time the equipment is also very important. And all the equipment together and the spells actually has great synergy, and when you put it all together, you can be devastating. So let's take a look at which exact equipment do you need and exactly how you find them. Now I'll put the how to find them part at the end of the video, but let's go over the equipment first. Now I do recommend that you start out with the prisoner class, or another one of your choosing if you want, but you gotta make sure both your dexterity and intelligence is high and is pretty balanced. So in order for you to complete your long range setup, you're going to need the meteorite staff. And this one is excellent because it scales with intelligence well, and it also has the passive effect to boost gravity sorcery. And with that staff in hand, you're going to add in the rock sling spell, which is a gravity sorcery, so it's going to get boosted by the staff. And this one also has excellent damage and also kind of starts out with AoE with relatively low FP cost. So you can see me do the spell here with the meteorite staff, the rock sling, and the damage is quite significant. One shot there is 312 damage. And another great aspect about the rock sling is that it has high staggered damage. So pretty much a majority, especially boss fights, if you can shoot 3 rock slings at your boss target, they're gonna go down and get staggered. So here you can see me, that was 3 shots. They get staggered up. So I get to their back and I set them up for a backstab for pretty decently high damage. You can see here again, 1 rock sling, 2 rock sling, and they're pretty much guaranteed to go down on the 3rd one. And once they do go down, it will set you up for, these easy melee attacks. But this build also hits very hard with melee, and that's why it's a magic melee build, because pre-fight you can actually use a lot of buffs to optimize your melee with spells and also your wondrous mix. Now in terms of the spell, you're gonna need Scholar's Armament. That's the spell that's gonna buff your thrusting sword. And with the wondrous mix, you want to make sure you grab the dexterity, not crystal tear. That's going to help buff your dexterity up by quite a bit. Here you can see my stats before I popped the wondrous mix. Dexterity was at 31, but after is at 41. So with that dexterity wondrous mix, it's plus 10. So in this clip, you're going to see a melee hit from my thrusting weapon with the armament buff and also the wondrous mix, and 2 hits did 342 damage right there. Now in the weapon, as I mentioned, you want to get a thrusting sword, but you also want to make sure it has the quick step skill. And when you do equip the quick step skill into the sword, make sure you also change the affinity to keen so that your sword scales with your dexterity attribute. So here in this incident, you can see a enchanted buff sword with the quick step element. Now you can quick step to the side or you can quick step backwards and then lunge forwards. Personally with this build, I do like quick stepping to the side and hitting them with the weapon, and you can see it hits quite hard because of the wondrous mix buff and also the spell buff. Now because you have quick step though on your sword and you're holding the staff on your left hand, you can also do casting with quick step. The sword allows you to do that because the staff doesn't have a skill. So you can see I can cast, do the damage, but then quick step out of the casting and go right into melee, and that was a high damage sequence with Bell and melee at 730. Here you can see I cast a spell, and I see cast a fire spell back at me. I used the quick step to get away from it. there's plenty of invincibility frames with quick step, so it's a very good way to protect yourself from a distance. And lastly, you can also put your shield up as the prisoner class, and you can use a thrusting sword and kind of fight like a 300 Spartan from the movies. You can see I'm holding the shield button, so L1, but I'm also tapping R1 to thrust the sword. But the shield stays up the whole time, so if you get the right enemy, this could be quite devastating. So putting everything together, the general strategy really is to start off with the rock sling with your meteorite staff. If you can get in 3 shots, that's perfect. You want to do that. But if you can only get in maybe 2, you still can get into melee range. With your buff sword, it's going to do a ton of damage, and the rock sling is also going to already set you up for the stagger. So as you go into melee with your shield up, if you choose to, you can quick step, add to that stagger, set up your enemy for a lot of damage, and by the time they try to attack, they will already be down because you'll be doing tons of damage very quickly. Rock sling always at first. So in terms of the flask, I do like to balance this one out. So if I have like an even number of flasks, let's say I have 6, I would go 3 for FP and then 3 for HP. And when you're using this build, also don't get too, spell happy and only stay in range, because you're not really a full out mage. Your melee prowess is there, especially with the high dexterity. So definitely understand the rock sling is there to get you ahead on a stagger. 2 to 3 shots to set it up, and then get in the face of the enemy, get in that fight. Because your sword will be buffed, and the Scholar's Armament, that's buffed for quite a while, so don't be afraid to melee, because you also hit quite hard with it. And for those of you wondering in regards to points distribution, you can see me here around level 40-ish. I have pretty balanced dexterity and intelligence, with more leaning towards dexterity. I will probably also eventually get both my vigor and mind to 20 here. So now let's go into how to find all those key equipment I showed you earlier. Here is how you can find the dexterity, not crystal tear, to use your wondrous mix to buff your dexterity. So that's where we all start out from the game at the beginning. And then you want to kind of go northeast until you reach this third church of Marika. That's where you're going to find the flask for the wondrous mix. After that's over, you want to go northwest all the way to the lake facing cliffs. And from that point, you want to keep going northwest. And you're going to pass a whole bunch of these until you get to the scenic isle. And then you want to go northwest from there and end up at this exact location, where there's going to be this little hill area you climb up within the lake. And then you'll be able to find the dexterity, not crystal tear, all the way to the top once you kill off a couple of the enemies. Now, in regards to finding both the rock sling and the meteorite staff, they actually are very close to each other, so you'll find both at the same place. So once again, you want to go back to where you started the game, at the Stranded Graveyard, and then from there you want to go east and you'll end up with the Dragon Burnt Ruins. And once you get to there, you want to find this little kind of underground kind of cave kind of setup. It's right there. And when you go in, you'll fight a few enemies, nothing too hard, and then you get to the chest. Now this chest, there's nothing in it, but it's going to teleport you, and it's going to teleport you all the way to here, to the crystal tunnels. And once you get to the tunnels, you want to leave the room and then immediately break left and then travel down the hill. You want to kind of go into that little cave or the little bright area down there, activate the Lost Grace when you see it, and then you want to exit to the left. And once you exit out of the cave tunnels, you want to head southwest, and you will get to these ruins. And once you get to the ruins, the first spot you want to find is this little building. You can shoot through that gap, and then you can go downwards. And once you go downwards, inside this area is where you're going to find the rock sling. So there you will have the spell. So once you grab that, you want to exit back out, but still stay in the ruins, and then you kind of want to travel around. It's relatively close, and you'll see this kind of building right here. And inside here, kill those flowers. And from here, at the edge of that window, you're going to find a meteorite staff. So that's where you want to grab it. And with those two, you will have it. And then you can just exit out of that area by riding your horse. And in regards to your Scholar's Armament, to find this, you want to start from the area you begin the game and then kind of travel east until you get to the Waypoint's Ruins Cellar. You want to go downwards into the cellar, into the ruins, nothing too far, and then you'll face a little boss. Once you defeat the boss, you will get to this sorcery lady, and she's going to sell you that spell, alright? And lastly, you get the quick step, so you can give it to your thrusting sword and give it keen affinity. You want to go to the War Master's Shack. So from where you start off in the game, you just want to travel up north until you get to there. And once you get to that shack, you will find a knight. And the knight guy here, he's going to sell you the quick step. Alright, so hopefully you enjoyed this video. Let us know if it helped you out. If you got any questions, leave in the comment section. As always, thanks for coming by, and we look forward to speak to all of you again very soon.